this is Haya and this is Kaizen Candid. So I'm from Pakistan. It's a Muslim country. It's a majority Muslim country, and I think over the years there has been a lot of acceptance with, women playing sports or being active. But I don't remember it being a focus when I was growing up. I think generally, like because we dress modestly. There was always used to be some discomfort in how you presented your body outdoors, and I always felt very aware of my feminine body, and I think that was one of the reasons why I just never felt comfortable really, stepping outside playing. So I think that was how it was. And then generally, like, I was struggling with my body size and like just feeling insecure, and having had people also comment on my body a lot growing up, like this sort of body shaming that happens, about how you could look a different way. So when I started yoga, it was something I did very secretly in my bedroom. Um, I used to watch this YouTuber. I think her name is Yoga with Adrian. She was who I started with, and the reason I started with her was because I found her to be very kind in the way she spoke and the way she sort of taught movement. And being someone who had never stepped into a gym or had never been to a class, a yoga class before, I really didn't know the movements at all, and I wanted, she guided in a way that was comfortable. I felt safe. I felt, this is something that I could do. And to be honest, when I did start, there was a lot that I couldn't do. I really didn't understand like even basic movements like downward dog. But as I went along, I started feeling comfortable in my body and how I moved, and I started then, delving into other kinds of movement. I really started working out, including HIIT workouts, and over the past couple of years, I've also gotten into strength training. And yes, yoga became a part of my life, something that I enjoyed doing, something that felt like something that I did for myself. Something that I felt, um, it wasn't more so just to get in shape or um, I felt like every time I was on the yoga mat, I got in touch with who I was. I could like sort of relax and do movement and just be myself. Interesting thing that I think a lot of people in the teacher training program are also asking me, because of the close proximity between India and Pakistan, like because we share a border, they asked if like yoga was a part of culture in Pakistan. It actually isn't. Like, it's I think in India, because of the religious and like cultural reasons, it's such a big part of their lives. I feel like in Pakistan, it's fairly recent. There might have been people who did practice yoga from their own experiences, but just generally as a community or people wanting to do yoga is very, yeah. I don't think I ever saw anyone sort of, physically move. It wasn't an active part of anyone's life. And I think one of the reasons why I was doing it in my bedroom was also because, it wasn't as like common for you to be sort of working out or like doing a really, yoga is, yoga requires you to move your body. Like, it just requires you. There's a lot of movement. That is one thing that when I do go back to Pakistan, I want it to be a more of an active part in my life as well, where I inspire other people to move as well, and keep moving myself. And the thing that I went home and talked to my husband about was, like the sort of individual attention I was getting from you as well, in terms of how to move and like where do I need to sort of put more my strength in, and like just generally. And I think one thing that blew my mind, which has not been the case in classes that I've been in Pakistan, is hands-on sort of training, and like sort of using touch as feedback, and like giving that sort of instruction. And that felt really comforting. I don't know. I thought that would not be very comfortable. Not knowing someone really well, but having them just guide you. Um, but that was something that really stood out to me, and I felt really safe. I remember I got into my first wheel in one of our yoga classes, and I knew when I was in the wheel that I wouldn't be able to come back down. And I was like, Mindy. And you came and you sort of helped me get back down. So that was, I think, the amount of safety I felt, like, she's there, and, she knows what she's doing. I thought the fears that I had obviously were, even in your classes, I knew that there were people who were coming to the classes who were, more skilled than I was, and I wasn't as skilled. There were some difficult moves that I still can still not do, or at that point as well. I'd just done my first wheel as well. Like, Mm. I think the wheel was a big point because I felt like, oh, if I can do this, there are other things that I can master as well. And I think it took me 10 classes to get to the wheel. And I was like, okay, maybe if I do this actively, I might get to the bigger, more difficult poses as well. Also scared of the acro yoga part when I had heard that that was also a component. And I just Googled acro yoga and it was really crazy, sort of poses came up. And I was like, I don't think this is for me. I asked you, I was like, I mean, is this like a mandatory part of the program? And I remember you telling me, the initial poses that we do are available to almost everyone if you're like sort of private. So I was like, okay, I'll sign up, I'll see how it goes, and even the acro part, I'll see how it goes. I didn't think I had it in me to sort of commit to something like that, sort of be there each weekend, and you had to wake up quite early and, I would go home and still have like my work to do as well. So like I was working throughout the week as well. So it was just like putting yourself through a boot camp. And I think I surprised myself and everyone around me because I'm generally like someone who loves her comfort and like would like to just stay in bed and read a book and like all of those things. So I was like really out of my comfort zone, doing the hard work, failing at times and like, not finding things that easy. Um, but I did it. Like that was, I think that the thing that I learned from that is that I can do hard things. I would wonder, like, what would we do the entire day, like, and I just liked that there was like a very structured program that we were going through. Um, I also, I think when once we got into acro yoga, I think that was something that took me by surprise about, how, um, there were so many things that I learned from acro yoga in terms of um, being aware of other people's bodies and just how the level of trust that you put into each other. um, Another thing that I really loved was the etiquette around acro yoga, and like how you help someone get up, or like when they're facing you. And I think those are all those things that I really took away from the yoga practice as well, about how to be aware of other people's bodies and being aware of other people's trauma as well, and how that comes into play in teaching as well. And I think that's something that I've also taken just as a general lesson in life as well. You don't really know how people experience traumas in their bodies, and how you need to be aware of other people's bodies as well while you're around them. There was something Simon would add into it. Sometimes he would make a joke and everyone would laugh, and then he would translate it back to English, and it was just funny that everyone had already laughed at it, and I had to sort of laugh after it because I hadn't understood what he was saying. When I did the yoga class, and I led that class, after I got out of it, I was on a high. Like I'd done something so difficult, like it seemed difficult because I'm a very introverted person, and when you're leading a class, you're the one speaking, and everyone's looking at you. I remember I went into one of those photo booths and got some pictures taken of myself. I was like, I wonder, like, like remember this moment as something, that I did when I go back to Pakistan. That's something that I want to become a more active part of my life, and hopefully finally lead me to what I want to do, which is like have a community space. I've also thought about, have doing another training around prenatal yoga, because that's something that I personally feel very strongly about. Like, just I feel like women going through motherhood is a very difficult thing, and especially going through pregnancy. So that's something that I feel like I would want to specialize in as well, and perhaps teach when I go back to Pakistan. To be honest, if I look back, I wasn't ready. Like there wasn't like a thing that said, "Oh, you're ready for a teacher training program," or "You've done this pose, so that means that you're ready." It was just that it's just like an exploration of what you're capable of, what you want to do, and I think you would surprise yourself